excited.
Goodness! Welcome back. It's time for Drew's News, and joining me at the desk is the other P in my news pod, Ross Matthews.
Hi, everybody. Hi, yes, thank you so much. I'm wearing an ascot and gloves because OMG. Drew, I can't believe we're going to meet these people.
I am tripping right now.
We are so obsessed with this show. I can't even tell you.
We've been talking about it a lot, as basically I feel like every person on the globe has been. And we have very special guests today. They're the stars of the steamy, new, brilliant Netflix hit, Bridgerton, the show that is revving everybody's motors.
Hello.
Take a look.
You appear displeased.
Do I?
We find ourselves seated beside each other, Miss Bridgerton. I would like to think you're happy about that.
Perhaps, Your Grace. It would be better if you refrained from thinking about me at all.
Ross and I were like, we can't believe we're about to meet them.
Like, right now, you guys, it's like about to happen right now.
Regé-Jean, Paige, and Phoebe Dynevor, the stars of Bridgerton.
Hey,
Hi.
Oh, and look, you guys look.
guys.
My goodness.
We're dorking out just a little bit. It is so nice to meet you.
Yes.
Likewise,
You guys
pleasure's
look
all ours.
amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
thank you.
Yeah, I would have dressed up for the occasion if I knew. I'm so sorry. I feel like I've let the side down.
You look just fine.
Yeah, you're perfect, and
you
we're
very
just doing a little ode to your show. You brought so much to your characters. We were all in love at first sight.
I mean, that's what you want, isn't it?
That means so much coming from you.
I mean, we really are starstruck right now. How did you guys prepare for the role? I heard there was like etiquette lessons, by the way. Can you teach us something about etiquette?
Yeah, because we could use a tip.
Yeah. I mean, it was a long process. We had 6 weeks. I mean, me and Regé were both living in LA at the time, so we both sort of touched down in London together to start this crazy journey. And it was like, our schedule was like horse riding and etiquette lessons and dance rehearsals. And it was kind of crazy. I think we're all ready to get on the marriage mat now. I feel very fully prepared.
We're incredibly well drilled in this stuff. And you guys are doing great, by the way. The language of the fans going on there, and the coy little ascot and the gloves.
yeah.
Like, I'm taking
it's all
notes
about
still.
the
This is
fans.
great.
Well, we really legitimately talked about what we wanted to wear because we are fully obsessed. And you said you took etiquette lessons. Is there anything that we're doing improperly?
Other than everything.
Yeah, other than, living.
Okay.
Nothing at all.
No. You guys are flawless. You couldn't possibly do anything wrong. We
Listen,
wouldn't dream of saying so if you did.
I've been waiting my whole life to hear you say that. Thank you so much. You guys, I said the first 5 episodes were very sweet, watching your dynamics, right? And then episode 5, okay, a lot goes on with you two. I'm curious, I'm talking about love scenes and whatnot. I'm curious, when you knew the world was gonna watch it, were you nervous at all about your family seeing that? Because they're kind of intense.
I mean, my family are pretty well drilled at this point. We've got a family WhatsApp group. It's got the little red flashing light emojis, particularly around episode 5.
That's the one.
The occasional peach emoji. But also, the Brits are very well drilled for this in general. I have a cousin who missed those messages, who made a bunch of tactical cups of tea, she told me. You just leave the room and put the kettle on. For no particular reason, you're not disturbed. You just need to make a very long cup of tea right now. But the problem with this show is that she came back and she was like, and you guys were still going. How many cups of tea do I need to make?
Yeah, well, it was steaming, that tea kettle.
And Phoebe, I heard you watched it with your grandparents.
Yes, I did. But only because, and I find it really hard to watch myself, but I had to if they were going to watch it. So I had to stand there with the remote ready at any given point to fast forward and for them not to see any of the bits I didn't want them to see.
That's very responsible.
So we were good. We got through
grandkid.
it.
And I've had
it was PG-13 for my grandparents. Sorry.
I would love to see that version. I'd be interested. I've had the.
I'm not sure I want to see that in Fast Forward. I think that might be a whole new show.
Cue the William Tell overture. Speaking of incredible
Or the Benny Hill theme tune.
Yeah, by the way, totally. Speaking of orchestral majesty, the Vitamin String Quartet, who are the composers of the show. I was lucky enough to work with them. They were the composers on the one film I've been lucky enough to direct called Whip It. And it was about a decade ago. And I've been such big fans of theirs. My jaw almost fell on the floor. They made such an impact in your show.
They have underscored everything that makes this show the emotional behemoth that it is.
Yeah, I think they do half the chemistry work for us, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's
Absolutely.
pretty much all of the music.
Yeah, and they mix in like modern day hits, but in a classical style. It's very, very cool, I think.
Thank you.
I know, it's
I
amazing.
think that's something that we talked about a lot in rehearsal as well, that the emotional core of these characters and the show is modern. It is 21st century. Like the way people love or the way people want to find their sense of identity in a society that restricts them in various ways, that's universal. That's not something that's removed from us in the 19th century. And so we rehearse to modern music to try and find that energy, to make sure that it hits an audience in a very raw and emotional way that isn't kind of removed from themselves in any way. And I think it was super clever how they then kept that energy whilst just transporting it into a Regency flavor. And that way you get that bit of fantasy, that bit of something exotic and different, but also something that you recognize in your own heart, in yourself. And that's, I think, what the love story is doing all over, to be honest. So I think that was a real
We
stroke
also
of genius
never
on their
knew
part.
what they were going to do with the music, because we rehearsed everything to modern music, but there was always a conversation about, were they going to use modern? Were they going to go with, you know, classical? So to have that mix, I mean, I remember watching it for the first time and hearing "Thank You Next," Ariana Grande, and be like, oh my gosh, it's that moment as an audience you really connect with it because you know it. So it's fun.
I love reading the production designer stayed up all night with the obsession of what was the perfect shade of blue for the parlor room in the Bridgerton family house. And it's such a gorgeous set. I'm glad that it meant so much to him because it affects you watching it.
Oh, absolutely. And the care that they put into all of this is immense. I think we don't get to talk about that enough because a production like this, like you'll have Phoebe and I turn up on the show, but we're talking hundreds and hundreds of people who put their hearts and souls into each stroke of paint in the Bridgerton room, every choice of the shade of blue, like you said, every choice of stitching. I think at one point someone told me that we had a crew larger than Star Wars. So like, we're not messing around with this. It's a lot of people's hard work. And I'm incredibly kind of gratified to see that paying off and reaching so many people as a result.
Yeah, and it all works. It all comes together. The show is just so great, and I still cannot believe I'm talking to you.
I know.
Right?
How is it like for you on the other side of it? Because we're all watching it and, you know, really just enamored and excited and wrapped up in the two of you, your chemistry, your dynamic, the choices that you made. Conscious or not, is what everybody's responding to. What do you guys have to say in response to everybody's response to this?
I mean, it's been wild. I think we were really excited about the fans of the books being able to see the show. And that's who I was thinking about the whole time. Like, oh gosh, we have a real Brazilian fan base that love the books. And the fact that it's spoken to such a wider audience and, you know, we've brought so many people into this, you know, exciting world. It's crazy. But just to know that it's given people joy in this, you know, really weird time is lovely. And we're so pleased for that.
I talked quite a lot with Betsy Beers, one of our producers, about this, about how one of the differences between this and other period pieces is that period pieces can tend to have this kind of Puritan energy. And Bridgerton is just unashamed of its own joy. It's unashamed of its own indulgences, which don't necessarily act as any kind of hindrance. It just isn't ashamed of letting us be happy, of letting us enjoy these moments of socializing and closeness and overblown romance that we're all missing right now because we're all isolated from each other. And so a show that allows us to get close to each other, not just physically, but emotionally in ways that normally we are in some way mildly ashamed of, releasing that corset, if you will, I think has been something relatively powerful in this moment in time.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Well, we think the world of you.
This went really well for me. Did you guys have fun? I feel good.
We had the best time.
Right? Good.
You don't understand what an honor this is on this side of the camera. Thank you so much for having us. It's a genuine pleasure. And seeing you guys like dress up for us and everything, this is insane. Are you mad?
Literally, we were like doing Lamaze in the commercial break, just trying to like prepare ourselves. to say hi to you. So thank you so much for just making such a beautiful show that is so modern, that feels so now, even though it's based so long ago, and for really turning our engines back on, if you know what I mean.
It's true. I got back on a dating app during Bridgerton. I was like, I'm not dead. I'm not dead.
Yeah.
Yes, true. I love that.
I didn't know that was the motor we were going to turn on, but get it.
For me, that was a big step. I think, Colin Firth said something, I believe it was to Rooney Mara at the Oscars. He says, now that you have come into the world, we cannot imagine it without you. That's how I feel about you guys.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
True. That means a
We'll do our
lot.
best
Wow.
to earn those kinds of words. Thanks so much.
It's the truth, and I'm sure everybody is dying to speak to you, so please thank you and know how grateful we are for your time here at this show.
The feeling's very mutual. Thanks so much for having us.
It really is. Thanks, guys.
Regé and Phoebe, go binge Bridgerton if you haven't already. Robin's on her second round, and you certainly won't regret it. It'll wake you up, too.
Yes, it will.